Most people think risk is about danger. Losing money, failing publicly, making a mistake you can't undo. But what if the real danger isn't taking risks? It's avoiding them. Every major outcome in your life, where you live, what you earn, who you become, is shaped by decisions made under uncertainty. Careers, relationships, businesses, even happiness itself all hinge on moments when there were no guarantees. And yet, society quietly trains you to fear those moments because safe choices feel responsible, predictable, mature. But safe doesn't mean harmless. In fact, the most devastating risks in life rarely feel risky at all. They feel comfortable, reasonable, sensible, and that's exactly why they're so dangerous. And once you see this hidden pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. Humans are not designed to be fearless explorers. We are designed to survive. For most of history, taking the wrong risk didn't mean embarrassment, it meant death. Our ancestors, who wandered too far, trusted the wrong stranger, or ignored danger, didn't pass on their genes. So your brain evolved to prioritize safety over opportunity. Psychologists call this loss aversion. We fear losses more than we value equivalent gains. That's why losing $100 hurts more than finding $100 feels good. Add impulsivity differences, and you get something even stranger. Two people can see the same situation and respond completely differently. Research shows highly impulsive individuals often perceive less risk and avoid it less, even when they intellectually know the danger. In other words, risk-taking isn't just logic, it's wiring. But here's the twist. Your survival instincts evolved for a world of predators, famine, and physical threats, not job markets, startups, or creative careers. Today, the biggest threats aren't usually immediate danger. They're slow erosion, missed chances, being left behind, and that leads to a paradox. The instincts that once kept humans alive can now quietly sabotage their future. Some of the worst outcomes in modern life don't come from bold gambles. They come from doing nothing. There's a psychological phenomenon called normalcy bias, the tendency to believe things will continue as they always have. People underestimate disasters, ignore warning signs, and fail to prepare because the status quo feels stable. About 80% of people show this bias during crises. Think about that. Most people don't panic when danger appears. They freeze, they wait, they assume it will pass. In everyday life, this doesn't look dramatic. It looks like staying in a job you've outgrown, ignoring industry changes, delaying dreams until the time is right. Years go by, then decades. And one day the opportunity window is gone. Not because you failed, but because you never moved. Avoiding risk creates a slow, invisible loss that's easy to ignore until it's irreversible. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Not all risks are the same. When people say that's too risky, they usually lump everything together. But decision scientists distinguish between known risks and unknown risks. Known risks have measurable probabilities, like the odds in a game. Unknown risks involve uncertainty you can't quantify. Humans consistently prefer known dangers over uncertain opportunities. This phenomenon, known as ambiguity aversion, explains why people often choose a smaller, guaranteed reward over a potentially larger but uncertain one. It feels rational. But it also caps your upside, because breakthroughs almost always live in the unknown zone. New industries, new ideas, new paths no one has validated yet. Safe choices protect you from downside, while quietly eliminating extraordinary upside. And yet, your decisions aren't made in isolation. They're shaped by the people around you. Risk is social. Your tolerance for uncertainty is heavily influenced by family, culture, and peer groups. In groups, decisions often become more extreme, either more cautious or more daring, a phenomenon known as group shift. If everyone around you values security, stability becomes the default. If everyone is entrepreneurial, bold moves feel normal. This is why two equally talented people can end up on completely different life paths. One environment rewards conformity. The other rewards experimentation. Fear of judgment plays a massive role here. Public failure hurts more than private failure, so people avoid risks that might damage their image, even if the long-term reward is huge. Ironically, this means the safest social choice can be the most dangerous personal choice. But there's something fascinating about people who consistently take calculated risks. They don't just survive uncertainty, they get stronger from it. Psychologist Albert Bandura introduced the concept of self-efficacy, the belief that you can influence outcomes. People with high self-efficacy approach uncertainty with confidence instead of fear. And confidence doesn't come from positive thinking, it comes from exposure. Each time you step into the unknown and survive, even if you fail, your brain recalibrates. What once felt terrifying becomes manageable. What felt impossible becomes routine. Over time, small risks compound into massive advantages. New skills, new networks, new opportunities that never appear to those who stay still. This is why innovators, entrepreneurs, and pioneers often seem lucky. They simply place themselves in environments where luck can find them. But there's a darker truth most people don't realize until much later. The cost of risk isn't always failure. Sometimes it's regret. Ask older adults about their biggest regrets, and a pattern emerges. It's rarely the things they tried and failed at. It's the chances they didn't take, the move they postponed, the business they never started, the person they never approached, the dream they filed away for someday. Because failure fades, stories soften, lessons remain. But missed opportunities don't resolve. They linger as permanent question marks. What if, over decades, life paths diverged dramatically between those who acted and those who waited, not because one group was smarter, but because they accumulated experiences, connections, and momentum. Playing it safe can feel comfortable year by year, while quietly building a future you never intended. And that leads to the most counterintuitive truth of all. You can't eliminate risk. You can only choose which risks you're willing to live with. Mastering risk isn't about becoming reckless. It's about becoming deliberate. Smart risk-takers don't bet everything at once. They run experiments. Small moves with asymmetric upside, limited downside, huge potential gain. Try the project. Launch the idea. Learn the skill. Meet the person. Apply for the opportunity. Most attempts won't change your life, but a few will, and those few can outweigh hundreds of safe decisions. Uncertainty itself isn't good or bad. It's neutral. What matters is how you respond to it. When you reframe uncertainty as possibility instead of threat, hesitation turns into curiosity. Risk becomes less like a cliff and more like a doorway. Here's the untold story of risk. Life doesn't punish caution immediately. It rewards it with comfort, approval, and predictability. But over time, the hidden costs accumulate. Opportunities narrow, options shrink, change becomes harder. Meanwhile, those who embraced uncertainty build adaptability, resilience, and leverage. In the end, the question isn't whether your life will involve risk. It already does. The real question is which risk you'll choose, the visible risk of action, or the invisible risk of staying exactly where you are. Because the biggest gamble most people make isn't starting something bold. It's assuming that doing nothing is safe, and history shows, again and again, that it isn't.